Yeah, because from day one he turned up to the classes and he whispered to me, he said, actually secretly I'm French, right? Uh,
Oh, oh,
yeah, and his surname, right, which I cannot divulge his surname
no,
on the public thing, right? But
no,
his surname is French.
right, okay.
And there's a clue, right?
Well,
The person, right? Yeah, there's a clue. Josephine was married to this emperor, and that's his surname. So we're not even allowed to mention it.
oh, oh.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Anyway, we're live on YouTube, right? We're
With
we're
smoke and steam.
we're smoke and steam. Yeah, we're smoke and steam. I'm just gonna make sure. Right. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna find out the usual thing at this time of day. And I want to know if Anne, have you got any news for us this week, which makes any sense at all?
No, not really. It's better if I say no, really, because
Yeah, well, that helps. That helps for the rest of us. It really does.
um,
Right, Henry. Any news from you this week?
The only thing I found is they found a carving of a turtle in a cave in Galilee, which dates back 35,000 years.
oh,
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 nice. But I want to know more.
good.
That's it. That's all you're getting.
Yeah, yeah. I think there have been some rock paintings and things on
So, so,
in.
so, a carving of a turtle in a cave.
Yeah, on a stone.
Mm.
Ah, right. Seeing as we're actually doing rock art today, that's actually quite appropriate, to be honest.
Are we?
Uh,
Mm.
Yeah, we are doing rock art today. We might actually find that image of a turtle in a moment, right? So, right, we're gonna write down turtle, right? Turtle. So I remember to do it. Right, Richard. Anything that you want to tell us other than the new series of Wolf Hall, which I'm actually in?
No, nothing.
I keep looking for you, but
Nothing interesting.
Yeah, you keep looking for me, and you're watching a bloody series about Robert Walpole. No blooming wonder you're not finding me in it. Uh, right, okay then. Okay, Goff. Any news from you this week?
Well, good evening. And
Good evening.
I haven't got any news, but I have started reading a very good book called The History of the Celts, second edition by Barry Cunliffe. It's
oh,
very,
Ah,
very good.
a book by Barry Cunliffe. Ah, right.
You must have heard of him.
Well, of
yeah.
course I've heard. Yeah, of course I've heard of Barry Cunliffe.
I know Tunnicliffe better.
Anyway, it's the second edition of his first book. It's a bit of a tough read,
Yeah.
very interesting, and more or less confirms some of the things that you think about the Celts. But if anyone would like to read that, it's on Audible for nothing, or you could even buy it.
Oh,
Ah, right. It's on audiobook for nothing.
Audible, Amazon
Yeah.
Audible. Yeah.
Ah, yeah. You've got the membership of Amazon, have you? Yeah, I've got that as well.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I got.
it's quite interesting. Yeah.
Good,
No,
good, good, good,
and
good.
apart from that, I've got nothing else.
Right. Okay, okay. So, and
well,
right.
it's always interesting if if you find a book, it gets quite absorbing, doesn't it? And you can devote quite a lot of time to it in a week.
True, 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 true.
Mm.
Right, okay. So everyone's made their contribution this week. Anne had nothing to say, and Richard was going to tell us something else, weren't you, Richard? Maybe not.
No,
No. Right.
no, I got nothing.
Right. Okay. Right. Okay. So, yesterday, we looked at rock art in Sweden, and it went on so long that lots of people made contributions, so that was really good. I've got a few announcements to make now. So I'm just going to mention that Peter's funeral is at 4 o'clock at the Barry funeral thingamajig cremation.
Crematorium.
Yeah, that's
Crematorium.
the one. That's the one. That'll do. Barry Crematorium on Port Road, Barry, and that's 4 o'clock on the 19th of December, which is a Thursday. And then I think it's the Thursday anyway. It's the 19th
Yeah.
anyway. The family welcomes everybody along. It's a Thursday. And I wanted to. We realized something last night actually that next week's class is gonna be the last one this year because we can't do a class on Christmas Day.
Thank
And
God.
we can't do a class on New Year's Day. So in other words, for the first time ever, right, we've come across this thing that it's going to be 2 weeks off this year. So what we will do is a recording which will be done on Tuesday. Well, no, which will be done a few days before Tuesday, and that'll go out on Tuesday, and that'll be premiered. So you won't be able to watch it until Tuesday, and there'll be a pre-recording for New Year's Eve as well. Another class which will be pre-recorded, and then I will mention next week if about the monies for the following year, and that was that. So we do have a class next week, but that'll be the last one this year. And what else was I going to say?
It is
we
a
were
bit
talking.
late in the day, really, and it will be going dark. That's the only thing. I can't drive in the dark, so Pat has said that she might come. We might.
What are you on about?
What?
But
Peter's funeral.
that's not to do with the last class. Oh, for fuck's sake! I can't do this anymore. I really can't.
What are you talking about? Peter's
Yeah,
funeral.
I was talking about the last classes next week, right?
Oh
And then
yeah.
then you
Oh,
start talking about you can't
yeah.
make next week because it's too dark. And I'm just thinking, what the hell? What are we talking about?
Sorry.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Then we're gonna crack on, and if anyone else comes on, Richard, just drag them on. And
Okay.
this subject tonight really worked well last night. It doesn't mean to say you can jump in every 5 minutes. Last night worked very well because we were talking away, and then somebody said, "Oh, by the way, Carl, I think I'm seeing X, Y, and Z." Right. So because we're doing cave art, and we don't have. I kept it a limited amount of images actually because that's the way it worked. Because we're looking at rock art in Sweden, so we'll get onto that more or less in a short while. But momentarily, right, what we're going to look at is a turtle carved into a rock from Israel. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, from Galilee.
Okay.
Found in a cave.
Right, Goff has already lost interest. He's looking at Facebook now. Right, so let's look at this. So we got Galilee. Oh, I spelt it right. Wicked.
Yeah.
Galilee turtle carving. I blooming hope we don't get onto this silly war that's going on in Syria now. Right, okay. Right, so there we go.
Oh.
Right, no, it's none of
No.
those, right?
None of those.
No.
That's him.
That one there.
Oh. Carved turtle.
Right, here we go. Carved cave turtle may have been worshipped 35,000 years before Christianity. Sculpture of what the hell's this? Oh, for God's sake, I've got it right. Okay, we'll do this one then. There. Oh, for God's sake. Right, okay. Study finds first evidence of prehistoric religious sites in Galilee, right? And it goes a rare. Oh my God. Right, okay. Consent. Right, a rare prehistoric ritual complex discovered in the Western Galilee. The cave offers a unique glimpse into the spiritual world of prehistoric humans. Researchers believe the discovery is the first evidence of communal religious ceremonies among hunter-gatherer groups in the Levant. So this is 35,000 years ago, right? And unfortunately, there's no other images. This is not going well. Right, so if we type in their images, and hopefully, so this is the image of the turtle. Is that what we're looking at?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that is actually quite a good image of a turtle, which is 35,000 years old. That's pretty. There we go.
It's a
There it is,
calf.
a carving in the rock of a turtle, right?
And the
Yeah.
day and date is on the other side.
Oh, there we go.
Mm, mm.
So is it? Am I thinking it's only half a turtle by the looks of it? Well, where's the other part? Archaeologists excavating. There we go. And yeah, here we go. We'll just mention this little bit here. While modern day Israel is dotted with prehistoric sites inhabited by early Homo sapiens populations as well as Neanderthals and other hominids, evidence of art and symbolic activity in the Paleolithic is scarce in the region 35,000 years ago. There are many theories as to why this is the case, but the fact is that nothing has ever been found in the Levant, Israel, that compares to the spectacular cave paintings that we find from Indonesia. And when you go back to the likes of Lascaux and you look at France from 30 odd thousand years ago, but now we're actually finding things in the caves and basically, not to go on, but that's basically a bit of a carved tortoise. And that, I got to be honest with you, that's got to be some of the finest artwork that I've ever seen from 35,000 years ago.
It's very
It's quite yeah, it's quite detailed, isn't it?
Mm.
So on that note, on that final, what we're going to do, we're going to crack on and let's go and have a little look at this. So you can see the images there, and we're going to chuck this image up straight away. So we're going to be going to Sweden, and one thing that I did forget to do last night was to, some people obviously don't know where Sweden is, but what we're going to do, we'll type in that Swedish rock art, and what we've got, if we type in there, this is the YouTube thing, not the YouTube. No, oh, for God's sake, no, go. Right. So what we're looking at, hang on, there's too much. Oh, I don't want to give anything. Oh, for God's sake. Sorry, guys. Right. All right. So basically what we're talking about, all this stuff at the bottom of Sweden is where we're looking at. It's full of art in the bottom of Sweden. And basically, do apologize about this crap coming up on the screen. But crack moving on with images as I'm going to lose the plot. So what we've got is an array of art, and it used to be thought that these types of images of art from Sweden were from basically the ADs. So we're talking about 600-700 years AD and that. But the stuff that we are looking at on the screen today, now this moment, is actually cave art and rock art, mainly rock art, that actually dates back way into the Bronze Age, into the Nordic Bronze Age, 3,500 years ago. And lots of this rock art at least dates to 2,500 years ago. So one of the things I can clearly say is that there is actually a boat. Right, we had a lot of debate last night over what that illustrated, and some people thought, it looks like a boat on a sledge or whatever, but that's clearly a boat, right? And what we did last night, we went over to Denmark, and in Denmark they've got a boat that has been excavated in Denmark, and the boat that's been excavated in Denmark itself looked um, um it sort of it made you understand why it was like why they were able to carve it like this, right? And why they were able to put this on the rock. But before we actually go on to that, to sort of keep your mind sort of active, so what we're doing is really starting to understand that this rock art, most of it out in the open, right? Is something that depicts everyday life within this Scandinavian world, from Norway into Sweden. So lots of research has actually been done on this, and one of the things that was happening last night is that people would be looking at this image for a while, and they might be looking at this image for a while, and they might be looking at this image for a while, and they might be looking at this, and they're thinking, right, and they're starting to see things. So we kept with a small limited number of images. So the production of rock art required significant effort because this is in sandstone. We got rock art in limestone as well from Scandinavia. So when we look at this and we look at the colouring used in this, usually what they do in Sweden is that when this rock art is discovered, they have a tendency to actually examine it, and then they actually ochre it in. Right, so you've got whole rock faces like that, and that figure there, believe it or not, is 2.3 meters high. And what we did last night, we looked at this stuff and we said, oh, can we see that a little bit more? And we went onto Google, and that's what we did last night. So again, we're seeing the symbolism, and they're very much into their boats, and they're very much into their figures. Now, you'll hopefully start to understand the perspective of what we're looking at here. So the production of this rock art itself is actually gouged into the rock, is incised into the rock, and the incision into the rock could be said to be several millimeters deep. And when we want to compare this, as we're doing tonight, when we try and compare this with rock art, for example, in Great Britain, and some of the rock art in Britain from earlier periods, except reused and recycled in the Iron Age, which is a point that we do make tonight to sort of go on par with this, is actually, up to a centimetre gouged into the rock. The tools that they're using for this, we'll talk about in a short while. So the production of rock art, as we know, it's not just getting a knife and gouging into the rock. There is skill in carving a millimeter, 2 millimeters in the rock. There is a certain skill. Me and Michelle, we went to the cave of Tom Sean Catty, and I did a few videos about that on my YouTube. And when we went to Tom Sean Catty's cave, which is near Llandilo, it was quite strange because it was not easy to find. And when we went to the cave, I actually had a penknife. And so we went into this weird little cave, and on all the rock there was this carving, right? And some of the carving in the rock had actually been done in the 1700s. So it was pretty interesting. It's the Tom Sean Catty figure from the Tudor period, right? But some of the carvings in the rock you could clearly see were from the 1700s. In fact, it was dated to the 1700s, and the stuff from the 1700s was really clear, right? It's like somebody had gone in there with a chisel, right? And obviously there was dates on it. Whether those dates are genuine or not, we've got to trust that. And so there's me with my penknife, and I said to Michelle, why do we, like everyone who's gone in that cave, right? Why do we gouge something into the wall of the cave? And we could just basically scratch something into the rock, except these carvings from the 1700s were really clear, and they'd obviously gone in there with the proper tools. So what I'm trying to say is that when you think about this type of rock art, right, and you try to understand, and you think, oh, this was somebody just dawdling on a rock. You just can't dawdle on a rock. you need to put an amount of effort to create this art into the rock, right? It's not just it's just not something you just do willy-nilly, right? You've got to there's an amount of effort into it, right? Significant effort into this. Some of it might look crude. And one of the things that we did last night, and obviously we'll be looking at this one slide, later on. One of the things that we did last night, we really we really started asking questions, right? Now, why have they got square shields? Why are they on horses with no legs? Right. And all these weird things we were actually asking. And we answered all these questions quite easily last night. Right. And back to these really weird figures. Now, looking at these very weird figures, and we can actually type in Tanum Borslan in Sweden. We can type that in, and we can type in Tanum, and we can try and look a little bit more of the rock art there and try and get that. But there is something really unusual about this, right? And what we're going to do, I'm just going to tell you to do it straight away, right? If you look at the screen and you sort of tilt your head back further and further and further, obviously not falling off your chair, you actually get more of a sense of perspective. It's almost as if, and we started discussing this last night, it's almost as if you've got this on a rock face, right, that is actually flat, right, or on a slight angle. It's almost as if they're carving these in midwinter, right, because it's almost as if it's almost as if there's a shadow created across the rock, right? And this is something that we were discussing last night, right? And what we might actually do, right, we might actually type in Tanum, right? We might do that straight away. So let's just go to that, and let's just hang on, Tanum. Let's go to there. Right, we get a few more images on here, so we can type in Tanum rock carvings. There we go. I think we did this last night, and what you can clearly see is that if you're looking at the rock face, look at this. It's a whole, it's a whole canvas, right? And can you see what I'm trying to get at? If you look from here, it looks like things are going off into the distance, right? So this wasn't just a willy-nilly thing. Look at that detail, right? It just goes off into the distance. And this artwork is absolutely full of these boats, and figures and so on. But, right, this isn't a Mensa question, right? But what is something that isn't on that image, right? Go on, quickly. First thing that goes into your head. What's something that's not on an image? One of you.
Houses?
Ooh, bingo! You've got it smack on. You've actually nailed it. It's almost as if you've got animals, you've got boats, you've got axes, you've got spears, men, women, loads of different animals. But you don't have the houses that they're living in. And look at that weird thing over there. You've got like almost like a tree of life thing. And look how you've got footprints there. All of this is carved into the rock. And we do believe that this stuff was sort of ochred in, right? It's a fascinating image. This is absolutely fascinating, right?
I've never seen that much together.
Yeah, it's
like
it's bounding at you. It's just bounding at you. It's there. And naturally, this stuff should have been eroded away a long time ago, but it's not.
No.
So hopefully Pat's just joined us as well. So anyway, the main motives are the same in all areas, right? Now, what do we mean by that? This is in Sweden. The main motifs are the same in all areas. They do vary, right? But there are regional variations. But the things that they're showing and describing in this art are the same, right? None of them have any houses across this area of southern Sweden. None of them. And the dates that we're talking about at least 500 years BC. Go and ask the question. How do we know it's 500 years BC? We don't, right? Because if I can describe this, right? And actually what I did last night, I went on the side of the screen and I got my little drawing thing, right? And I basically said, think of something familiar to all of us, right? So we know that the dates that we got by thermoluminescence of the, if you think about that, a cross section, so you're looking side in, right? Fish eye view, not bird's eye view, fish eye view, and we're thinking about the Uffington horse, that U thing on the left. We're thinking about that's the gouge that's used to sort of create the legs and everything of that Uffington horse, right? So that's gouged into the rock, the chalk rock, right? So that's the date, that's the thermoluminescence date. So what we've got is the thermoluminescence from the residue found at the bottom of that, which dates to 3,000 years ago, right? But the gouging into the chalk, right, may have actually occurred 5,000 years ago, right? But the gouge only went that deep into the rock. But what happens as you go through time, they cut through the rock and the gouge gets deeper. So the evidence of something being created before that is disappeared, like normal mining activity, right? So some of this rock art could actually be 1,000 years older initially when it was created than what we understand from the current day dating methods today. So two things, I'm going to keep this on here because it's a fascinating image, right? You keep this on you. You're seeing things like any work of art, right? Two things I need to say, right? You know, when I was doing my Leicester University degree stuff, back in 1999 all the way to 2003, right? I used to be one of these people that used to believe that all artifacts from different places in the world should go back to their countries of origin. In 2003, things changed, right? This is relevant, right? And I believe that artifacts are now safer in Western museums, but then again, that might change. But there's a reason why I mention that, because one part of the modules was actually looking at this art, right? And it was the archaeologist argument, right? So when you go to places like Australia and we look at the Aboriginals in Australia, where it was like the Aboriginals in Australia, they say, archaeologists come along and they say, right, you can't do any more art in this cave, right? And the Aboriginals are saying, tough, we're going to continue doing art in this cave because it's a living canvas. And the archaeologists say, but we've worked out that that piece of artwork over there is 10,000 years old and you're painting it again. And the Aboriginals are saying, so what? You know, it's living, breathing art, right? And the archaeologists got no argument against this because it's art that continues. You add to it, you take it away, and so on, right? So the problem is with rock art is it's constantly being added to. It's a bit like having a Picasso. So what we're going to do next week, we're going to go to all the galleries of the world and we're going to add a little bit more to every single Picasso in the world. That would be sacrilegious. You'd be rocked up, right? So the way of looking at Western art is very different than people actually look at this traditional art in any old cases and in any old context, right? So it's and the other thing that we got to think about as well is that when the Swedish archaeologists are actually finding this, right, when they're actually finding this art, what they're doing, they're ochreing the art back in again, right? So the ochre's faded away, they just ochre it back in, so that's been re-ochred, right? So when people actually see this art, they can actually see the art in a pseudo glory. But unfortunately, lots of what you are seeing is what the archaeologists can see. There's a lot more on these pseudo canvases, right? So if we go out again, you know, look at that. You know, it's just amazing, right? It's just amazing that we're actually seeing this. There's a panoramic view of this art. You know, there's just and there it is. It's there on the ground. You know, it's for all to see, right? So I tell you what, we'll keep that one there, right? And the boats, that all this is all really significant. And you're thinking, oh, this doesn't actually look like it's thousands of years old, but it is. It really is, right? So the obviously there are different variations, regional variations. But some of the motifs are markedly more common in certain areas and rare in others. So it's the same things that they're doing, but similar things. And sometimes they got more boats in one area, and in other areas they got more people, right? But this is in Tanum in Sweden. So some images are monumental size, others are very small, right? So you've got sometimes you've got massive boats, and sometimes you've got boats that have been created on top of boats. So as a boat underneath has faded, you chuck another boat on top. So it might have been that people may have been carving these things on the rocks for thousands of years before the stuff that we can see today. So some images, some of when we see this and when we sort of understand this, right? And if none of you have ever seen any of this stuff, right, then it's there. Now you're seeing it, you're getting an idea. What in the Western world, obviously Scandinavia is part of the Western world, but when we think about art in Great Britain, the Western fringes, right? When we look at art in, say, Ireland and with Brittany and sort of Wales and Scotland and other little bits of England, because in some bits of England you don't get art in rock because it's chalk and it's just disappeared, right? But what you usually get is the sort of the circles, and you've got copper ring marks that hark back to the Neolithic period. But right, there's another story with that which we need to go on to. Let's just not do that for a moment. Just leave that one. So again, let's just see if we can see. Okay, again, this is look at that. Right, look at that there, and you're almost looking at these faces and they just like disappear. It's just that sort of, it's almost as if it's midwinter when these are being created, or there's certain times of year that you need to look at these things, right? Absolutely unbelievable and fascinating, right? Again, what's going on there? There's almost these, you've got antlers, you've got and it's like that gives you an idea of scale again, right? This is fascinating stuff, and behind that arm is actually the legs of an individual, right? So what we're going to do, we're going to go to, as I say, there's just so many here. If we just put that one there, right? Oh, that's a nice one, and this says it all. So this actually says it all. So what we do have. This one at Tanum, the most common images are people, tick. Agriculture and stock, the ones at the top of the screen there, you've got various animals, and you've got an idea that they're ploughing, that could be ploughing that sort of image there. You've got the big aurochs, right? This could represent hunting, right? It's really, really, really detailed, this stuff, right? So common things are agriculture, animals, stock raising, which you've got there, hunting, got that there. The boats represent fishing, so we've got on other things that we've got representations of fishing. Some of this could represent cult and religion, whether it does, whether it doesn't. People are carving into rock, and they're carving into rock over a very long time. And the other symbol, which is one there, is the idea of the wheel cross or the sun cross, which is there. Wheels. There it is. We've got in some of these we've got I can't really show you all because look at this weird thing there. And if we go back to one of the ones at the beginning, right? And it's good that we're doing it this way because it's set. So if you start looking at these things, you can actually see wheels, you can see carts, ships, loads of ships, weapons. So the work at Tanum itself, images of ships with large crews of rowers driving into one another. Look at that there. There's loads of them, right? There is significance to this. So what if we go back to if we think of the earlier images where we've got people with swords and shields, right, which we should go back to now. Let's go back to the images that we had earlier on, right? Easy peasy lemon squeezy, not that there. Let's go to this scene, right? So this itself is from another site actually, which we'll go on to because we talk about this anyway. But what you can clearly see here, you've got swords, or maybe you've just got spears. In this one, you've just got spears. You've got shields, and you've got the use of horses. Right now, we had a little bit of a silly thing last night, and we basically said when did people start riding horses, right? Why couldn't have people started riding reindeer, right? And we looked it up. They did. People did used to ride reindeer, and people still ride reindeer today. So the idea of riding the back of a horse is the same thing as riding the back of a sheep or riding the back of a cow. You know, why would you ride the back of a sheep and why would you ride the back of a cow? And people used to think this. Why would you ride the back of a horse? Because initially the horse was for many other purposes other than riding. The horse was for milk. The horse was for traction. The horse was for the likes of meat. The horse was for clothing. The horse was for many things other than riding. But eventually, the horse itself would be something that actually comes into play. So when we think about this and when we think about these figures, when we go back again, if we go back to the screen and we go back out and we go back to here, and obviously what we do have, and go back to where, oh, that's a good one. There we go. Isn't that good? It's good, loving it. So it's talking about, you know, images of wild and domestic animals. You know, they're wild domestic animals on these, as we mentioned earlier on. There's ones with carts and plowing and agricultural practices, right? But there are no images of buildings, right? No images of buildings on these things at all. One of the things that I would like to point out on this single image, right, is that, can you see that there are other carvings that, you know, you can see, not that there, you can see other carvings here, right? And interestingly enough, what you can actually see is that has been pecked out the rock. And what we mean by pecked out, if we zoom in a bit more, you can actually see that there's been a chisel at work, and they've chiseled that bit out first, and then that bit out first, and they've packed this out, and then eventually that creates a line across the rock. So what we do have is this canvas that actually offers us a lot more than what's on there today. And if you've noticed something as well, what do you notice about the back ends of these animals? This is what you will see, and you'll see that there, that the animals are actually going to the toilet. And do you know what? There's something, yeah, that you won't find any of this in the reading, right? But if you look at, there was one of these images along here, and if nobody noticed it, I certainly did, right? Where is it? Where is it? Oh God, there was one of these. There. They're actually showing people going to toilet.
Oh. Perhaps
And this,
fertilizer.
so in other words, there you go. They're actually showing people going to the toilet. Now, this might sound a bit, you know, why is Carl even mentioning that? But it's something that you don't usually see on art, right? You know, it's something that we see as abhorrent on art, that we don't actually see people going to toilet. You know, it's like, you know, it's like when you look at films, for example, right? You don't see people going to the loo. You don't see people going for a pee or whatever, right? But with this art, what they're doing is they're actually, you can clearly see that, my French, right? There's a lot of shit, and it's something that is very special to these people. And yes, Anne was probably right, that this might indicate fertilizer, right? But again, if you look at that there, those individuals are going to the loo, right? And this must have had some significance in their carvings, and we'll give them that. We'll let them have that moment, right? But it's naturally a discussion point, right?
It's actually
for them.
looks ritualistic because they got sticks in their hands, you know.
Yes, they do have sticks in their hand, right? And again, you look at this more and more, and you see that there's more things going on here than meets the eye. You can clearly see that person is lancing that animal there, whatever poor animal that is. And it's really a lot going on, and you've got an image of somebody there with a cross across their belly, right? Which again, that wheel cross and that, as it says, the sun cross, that's clearly there. So when we try to explain this, and the wording, this all sorts starts to unravel, right? And again, think about this one. So you don't have these carvings. You don't really have these carvings in the north of Sweden to this degree. They are there, but we do believe in the north of Sweden, right? Instead of gouging into the rock, right, they actually painted the rock. So that's really not really survived. But towards the south, they carved into the rock faces. And when I say a rock face, as you've worked out by now, that lots of the rock faces are either horizontal, rather than vertical, or a little bit of a diagonal, right? And the diagonal bit comes into its play now. So rock faces create. So what we've got is the rock places are an available canvas, right? And what we mean by that, the glacial styration has actually made them rough, and as cleared away, any of the nice glossy surfaces. It's made them adaptable, as if you're using a modern day canvas, and it's a little bit sort of textured and rough, and you're going to add your sort of acrylics to it. And this is what they're doing: ideal surfaces for paint, right? Because if they were glossy surfaces, they would be much more difficult to carve into. And then if you're trying to add paint to it, they wouldn't stick, and they would just wash away. So having a surface like this, right, is ideal for the male or female artist back in Sweden over 2,500 or 3,000 years ago. So however, the hard material puts limits on what could be depicted. So the wordings are things that we actually mentioned a few moments ago about, at what times of year were these actually carved. That's what we're going to get onto now. So the images are scratched a few millimeters into the stone, as I've said at the beginning. On account of the low relief, many images are difficult to make out. So in other words, because of the angle that these are created, right, and distortion, because of the way that they were created, offers us another perspective. And perspective is all important with these things. Now, when we think about cup and ring marks from a British context, they can be, a centimeter into the rock or more, but these are actually millimeters into the rock. But they have survived all those thousands of years. And it's they do say that that there has been examples in granite or more sort of more softer and even more harder rocks, but the sandstonian and limestones are the best ones to actually carve these into, in tandem, for example, in the sandstone. As a rule, it is not possible to determine whether images have been reworked at a later time, and I'm saying that they have. And it's something that we do see familiar in art being added to. You've got art over art. You've got figures that actually directly go through boats and things. Thing for example, this, which we're going to go on to. You've got this huge figure in here, which we're going to this is part of another bit of the talk later on. This figure actually has been chucked directly onto this huge canvas, into this huge rocky canvas. And as you can tell, the Swedish are really proud of these things. They've created walkways, and they've coloured these things in so that people can actually see them. And that Sweden it can be generally damp a number parts of the year. And obviously this shows up what you're actually seeing. So, you know, as a rule, it's not possible to determine whether the images have been reworked at a later time. Repeated that, but you know, it's when the answer is definitely that they have. Most will have been made using an unmodified stone as a tool, which is difficult for me to get that. Maybe that's the way that they were etched in, but then using something a little bit more harder to sort of pick out, as we've demonstrated in an image earlier on. And the one problem is should you use iron? So obviously this is going to be some of these carved in 500 years before Christ, or 100 years before Christ, or whatever. Problem is, if you use iron, or you use copper, or you use bronze, they all blunt really quickly, right? So if you're going to use anything, you're going to use a rock, something like a granite or something, or maybe a flint that you can actually get into here. So naturally, if you're going to be using rock and you can use in flint, they're self-sharpening, whereas because you're banging a bit out the rock, and then a bit of the rock that you're using breaks off, but it gouges into the rock. It resharpens it, right? But when you're using iron, for example, that's going to blunt really quickly. So it's very likely that they're using stone, harder stone on stone. So this is certainly true for the flat images, in which the image of was carved out of the stone, again appearing, as you can understand, as silhouettes in the rock face, the flat sort of some kind tilting diagonal rock face. Only rarely do such images contain internal division. So what we're talking about, we're not usually thinking about that, you know, there's a load of stuff over there that means one thing and a load of stuff over here that means another thing, right? We don't usually see that, right? It's all mixed together. It's a hodgepodge of stuff, right? So the problem, one of the biggest problems that we've got in understanding this is that understanding the use of what tools that they used is difficult. You know, you might be able to work out maybe a certain metal tool that they've used, but generally, because of the time that these have been on the rock, any sort of evidence of residual bits of stuff that might be hanging around have long since washed away. But obviously, we do have the techniques to, if we use some of the more modern techniques to understand, if you're using iron on something, it would leave a different signature of stress marks in the rock, which you can just see under the surface under microscope, than if you use something like stone. So true images, this true imaging, they probably practice this and sort of set this out on the rock before anything moves on. So very finely carved images, as you can see. I think these are very finely carved images. They really knew what they were doing. And were they just red ochring in these things? We do believe they were, and that's why they've been red ochred. but because and one of the questions last night, it was Margaret last night. She said, should I, after everything that you've said about, you know, damaging the rock or not damaging the rock, and we've got to preserve these things, but some people continually use these as modern canvases, what actual paint did the Swedish government actually use to enhance these in the modern day and age? Would they have used something like an acrylic based paint, which is depend on what's in the acrylic? Would it be more permanent? Would they have used oil? Would they have used a chemical based? And I would say probably use something more akin to being something that could be removed naturally by long-term weathering than something that's going to be permanent there, which is going to cause long-term damage into the rock, right? So It's my belief. I haven't actually looked into this. My belief. The Swedish archaeologists have said we'll use something that if we need to if we need to use something that's not going to damage the rock to actually get the ochre out of there, right? That ochre base, then we could do that, and it'll give us an idea to be able to do more work. So they're actually thinking as well that that there might be there might be some of the finer details. They might use a mixture of different metals to actually and different stones to create different details and different and different sort of genres in the rock. So somebody may have had a toolkit. He or she may have had a tin alloy tool, a sort of copper bronze tool. Or something which was more brass-like, access to zinc, or they might have had one or two tools like that, and like normal craftsmen, they might have had an iron tool. They may have had various rock tools to sort of try to sort of develop their sort of their ability to carve into the rock. Suitable rock faces are almost exclusively from the south as well, but you do have rock faces in the old northern part of Germany and Denmark as well. And what you do find is that carvings on big boulders, rather than just straightforward flat space rock faces, as we've actually got here now. Now, one thing that we did mention last night, right? Because I'm gonna go on to my next set of notes, right? And it might be wise before the break, before we try to examine that image, and before we try to examine these images, right? And these images, right? I'm gonna go over to the Hitchespring boat from Denmark, right? And when you see the Hitchespring boat from Denmark, you'll understand why the boats are carved like this, right? And it'll come apparent now. So we'll go on to Google now. The Hitchespring boat from Denmark, and we have a little bit of an explanation of that. So let's just go on to Google. And yeah, go on, Anne. You can.
They
Go on,
do
Anne.
remind me of African figures, you know, because they're tall, and you know, people in Sweden were supposed to be tall, weren't they?
Actually,
Anyway.
Anne, it's almost as if you were listening to my lecture last night, because one of the things that I did say last night was actually lots of the stuff that you see within this context, because in Australia and in South Africa, from the San people,
Yeah.
they are actually carving on sandstone, right?
Mm.
And these people are,
It's hard.
these people in Scandinavia are
Difficult.
carving on sandstone, so you get the same effect.
Yeah.
It's almost as if you're carving into set limestone, or you're carving into quartz, not quartz, well, a quartz and a silica based rock, you're going to get a different image. If you're carving into something like a granite, you're going to get a different, your tools are going to act differently. It's like your canvas. You can't really paint the same on a linen canvas. You can't really paint, if you compare that with paper or papyrus, you get a different effect. It affects your, you know what I'm
your
talking about.
drawing.
It affects, but one thing about this is the Hitchespring boat, right? And you can see now why they're looking at that, right? And if we just quickly go out the screen a minute and go back to where we were, because we've got that image straight away, you can see why their boats are being created like that, and why they're being created like that. You can actually think, right, now I know why the boats are like this. And this is obviously a Denmark context. So what I basically did I went on to the good old Wikipedia last night, right? And I'm part of a university. I'm part of a university group of lecturers and stuff. And I remember one of the lecturers the other day. She said, "Oh, actually, secretly, I use Wikipedia as well." I just thought, "All right, I'll start using it a bit more as well." But the one thing about the Hitcher spring boat from Denmark is it dates similar to these carvings in Sweden, and it's sort of a date there. They actually found a proper boat. It wasn't a carving, but obviously you can see why the Swedish carvings in rock are very similar to this. And it was discovered in 1921. And here we go. It says Scandinavia petroglyphic remains of Nordic Bronze Age ships. So and this one that they found in the likes of Denmark, a clinker built wooden boat. Okay, 20 meters long overall, right? So it's quite a long boat for something that's 2,500 years ago. 20 meters is actually quite a big boat, right?
Yeah.
But even by modern standards, it's not, I mean, it says the boat itself wasn't massively heavy, right? But 530 kilograms, is something that it would take a few people a little bit of a while to move. And hopefully, I've just clicked on this because hopefully this is going to come up. Is it going to come up? No, it's not. Right. So what we're going to do, we're going to go back to if we can. So there it is in the museum there. And they basically found bits of this boat. And I think that's a reconstruction of it. But yeah, it is. Oh no, it isn't. There's some of the other original bits of wood there. Right. So you can see how this is being constructed. You can see why then in the rock art itself, why they sort of they base their carvings on this very vessel. Oh, there it is. There it is. There's the reconstruction and these things here. So you can see that those things there, whether they're representing 20 meters long or 10 meters long, but these are the clinker built boats, clinker basic overlapping timber, right? Long lengths of wood, right? For your clinker based boats, right? So that's basically what that is. And what they're saying is if we look here as well, clinker built wooden boats, they're on board, interesting enough, with the one in Denmark. They actually excavated 131 shields of Celtic type. They were square shields, right?
Oh.
And the shield bosses in the middle of they were square shields rather than circular, right? And they found iron spearheads, 138 iron spearheads, right? 31 bone or antler spearheads. You don't really think about spearheads being made of bone or antler, but they do, right? And look at that one, mail coats, right? Chain mail coats. And you're thinking, hang on a minute, we thought that was Norman, but these were around in the Iron Age. So what we're talking about is that these boats are really significant. They're more significant than people's houses, and it's talking about there that they found remains on this one boat in Denmark, lamb, calf, and the remains of 2 dogs, right? So this thing about boats, when you started this today, it'd be like, well, boats, Vikings, but all that type of stuff. But the boat itself to the Norwegian, or the boat itself to the Swedish, or the Denmark or Northern Germany, is massively important because it's a world of rivers and fjords, right? And when you think about Germany, there's lots of you're talking about lots of river systems, and you're talking about the boggy, marshy lands as you head over to Denmark, that type of landscape. And, the boats are very, very important. So when I needed to show you that, and there we go. Look at that reconstruction, right? It's a shame there's not a tree directly standing behind it or person, but that is 20 meters long, 20 meters long, right? And it's quite, it's quite a big vessel. So from from the starboard side to the port side, right? So we had those measurements, didn't we? So the width of the vessel, right? We didn't actually do that. So let's just the width of the vessel, port to starboard. It's talking about 2 meters wide, right? So that's pretty wide, isn't it? You know, 2 meters wide. So again, they're talking about you may have had 20 people inside this, because if 2 people were in it, it wouldn't have moved. So this is the thing. You think about, how do we know there's 20 people on it? Well, 10 people, it don't go far. But if you've got 20 people on it, the thing goes through the water, with paddles, right? So again, is there a mast? It doesn't need a mast. It's got paddles, and it's really stable vessel in the water. If you've got a mast, it would probably make it, wouldn't be that good, wouldn't be that streamlined. So again, what we're going to do, I think, maybe what we could do is that we have been gassing for an hour, and maybe we might take this would be a good time to have a little bit of discussion, and it would then also be a good time then to have a break. Right, so stop share, and we'll go to those images after. Right, so I don't know where Anne is, but she's gone quiet, which is a miracle. Goff, anything you want to say?
Oh, it's fascinating. And I sent you a link about Indolo Man, which is a figure that was found in a cave in Andalusia. And it looks remarkably like these same sort of figures found 100 years ago, believed to be 2,500 years ago. It's called Indolo Man. And it's also found all around Europe, the same figure. And it looks just the same as the ones you just presented,
Yeah, the tall ones. Yeah.
Well, actually, what we will do, what I might do, is after we finish talking, this looks fascinating. We will look at this before the break. So yeah, the notes here: the Indolo man is an ancient symbol found in the province of Almira, also known to have to some as the Indolo puppet. And we will have a quick look at that cave art, looking back to about 4,500 years ago. Anyway, thanks for that. And we got Di Evans, who's just joined us as well. Right. Okay, then. Richard, anything you want to say?
Oh, very interesting.
Good. And anything from you, Anne?
Well, I always said, when I was looking at these, we were looking at rock art years ago, and I thought that I did think that it was getting more stylized, the images were getting more stylized, the more modern they were becoming. But I'm not sure now, because it's almost like connected to language. It's becoming like storyboards, and because they're all very simple line drawings, whereas earlier rock art, you saw the big bisons, and they were using like shading and more artistic techniques. So
Yes.
but I still think that it is becoming more towards language, the rock art,
And that sorry to interrupt. That's something that we haven't even mentioned today, i.e. that that there's if you put those things balanced up, you think, well, you've got the symbolism, the motifs are similar across all of this, but they're slightly different, regional variations. So a figure might look slightly different here, but the cross is the same here, but it's slightly bigger. So obviously there's regional variations, but that actually speaks to a language, right? So if you're moving across the landscape and you see, we're not talking about somebody. This is one real silly thing that really you think about. Somebody says, "Oh, somebody's going around the country creating this art because the local people were too stupid to create it." Okay, everyone wants to, throughout history, in different regions, there's going to be people wanting to create art wherever you go, right? So it's not somebody going around creating this stuff. It's like it speaks a language in itself. There is a language in the creation of what's going on, and that's a really good point. Yeah, so
Yeah.
right,
Excellent
okay.
point, mate.
What's that? What's that, Di?
Excellent point.
Yeah, it is an excellent point. Thank you. Henry, anything you want to say?
I think Anne's point is a very good one. Depicting stories, communicating, leaving a history.
It's,
Yes,
it's,
exactly. Anything else you want to say, David? Di?
Not really, mate. I
Oh,
only
that's
come
cool.
on here so I can see Anne.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, we've all come on here to see Anne. Anything you want to say, Pat?
Yes, a couple things. I noticed some of the figures appeared to have long hair, and I wonder if they were women.
yeah.
Actually, that's one thing that we haven't even mentioned. So I think
Hmm.
what maybe we might do is we might actually look at those 2 points before we have a break, and that's where we're going to go now. So I'm going to go. We're going to go back to the screen, and the first thing that we're going to actually do is I'm a bit kerfuffled a minute because I've got to get that message back up from Golf. It's the Indolo man, so we're going to type in Indolo, right? So if we look there, I'm just going to look at that. So new tab, Indolo, Indalo, man, Indolo man. There we go. So we've got Indolo, and there it is.
Mm.
Indolo man,
Mm.
right? And that
Sick drawing,
itself.
Brad.
What's that? What's that, Dave?
I draw as like that, mate.
Do you?
Where does he live?
That's amazing. So Indolo man, Indolo, right? Indolo, a Bronze Age magical symbol found in the cave of Los Letroros. It has been customary to paint the Indolo symbol on the front of houses. And that's obviously telling us something as well. So the Indolo has its origin in the Levant in Spain, not the Levant in in Israel, but the Levant in Spain. And that goes back to 2,500 years ago. And it basically, the legend has it that the Indolo was a ghost that could hold and carry a rainbow in his hands. The Indolo has been adopted as the official symbol of the province of Almeria, Spain. Yes, I'm glad we've got that. So obviously the symbolism, but that actually looks quite, good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That really
That's
does.
it.
It looks quite clear, and you can see the effort that's been taken to create that in the rock. Now, the other thing I want us to do now is I want us to go back to the subject, right? And I want us to, if I can get my notes back on the computer, I'm just trying to work out. Hang on a minute, one second. Right, okay, go back off that, and I want us to that point that Pat was making. I did when you're trying to process this and bring this across, you're seeing things and you're thinking maybe I'll come back to that, and I didn't. So apologize about that. But if we look at this again, and this is actually quite clear. There you go. Is that there? That there a woman?
Yeah,
Right.
like a ponytail.
Yeah, a ponytail, right? And obviously what we've got footprints that are underneath this individual. Must have been part of something earlier on. And let's just see. I know what you're talking about. Oh yes, if we go to there, it's almost as if you've got a circle and there's little figures coming out of it.
Oh yeah.
But you are you are right. There are figures on here that do have ponytails. Not many,
No,
but
I think I saw two, that was all. Or maybe it was the same
yeah,
one
there
twice.
yeah there might be lots of women on here, but it's just trying
Is there,
to
Brave?
find them. You might be able to find them exactly. Um, so
I think you can
so
find
what? Yeah,
lots
yeah.
of
Now,
penises.
yeah. Say that again.
Lots of penises available on these pictures.
Um, and that's something that we're going to talk about after the break.
Yes.
What, women?
There are lots of penises, but when you
Can't
when you
find
look
women.
at the penises, when you look at the penises in a little bit more detail, but we'll look at that after the break. So what we are going to do, we're going to take a break now, right? We're going to take a break. And we're going to hang on a minute. Stop. Hang on. What's happened there? Right. I don't know what happened there. So what we're going to do, hopefully we've covered that now. So Anne and Di want to have a chat, right? So we're going to have a break now. So it's 8:29. We'll be back at 8:39, and Anne and Di can have a good old chat. We'll be back soon.
Okay.
Penis, Brave.
Oh, hello.
Oh, yeah.
What? Who are you?
Die.
David?
Die. I'm one of Carl's mates.
Oh, right. You're one of his mates. Oh, right.
Yeah, he used to sell me a bit of the wacky backy back in the 90s.
Yeah, it was a long time ago now, wasn't it?
Yeah. I had
Mm.
hair back then.
So do you live around in Wales?
Yeah, from Barry I am.
Oh, you're from Barry. Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, I originally come from Bridgend.
Oh, who comes from Bridgend?
Me, originally, like.
Oh, well, I'm in Bridgend now. But I don't I'm not from Bridgend, but I've been here for 40 years.
Is
I've
it?
been here for 40 years. So that's a bit longer than you've been alive, I think.
Oh, I don't know. I'm only 35 myself.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, well. And did you go to Bryn Teg?
No. No, I weren't there that long. I moved to Barry when I was like 4.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, well. You like archaeology, do you?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. And you like Carl?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
one of my mates, he is.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's nice.
And a good mate of
Oh,
mine, he is.
you're always welcome on board, you know. It's a pity, yeah, I mean, it's difficult because we had classes in Bridgend and Barry, but of course they came to an end. Um, they did come to an end. So we do this online now. So it's a pity in a way because we don't get to meet people, you know. We
Yeah.
only just sort of talk to them online, But I suppose it's better than nothing.
Yeah, it is. I remember seeing something about St. Barrack's Day before.
Oh, did you come to St. Barrack's Day?
No, I just saw the videos online. Carl always does
Oh, right,
videos.
yeah, yeah, we did. That's the our little Barry museum well, just a section of what we do really.
Yeah.
And but it's not a lot at the moment. There's not a lot going on, but we definitely will be having St. Barrack's Day next year. So you're
When
very
is St. Barrack's
welcome.
Day?
Do you work?
What's that, sorry?
Do you work?
No, I'm on the dole, I am.
All right, yeah.
I used to work, but what it was, I used to get caught smoking weed on site all the time. I used to be a security guard, and I got sacked off every site it was. Back
Oh,
in my silly days, I couldn't help myself.
no, it's hard. It's a hard job.
Yeah, and I used to get bored, see, so I used to bring
Yeah,
some along, and I
yeah,
sort of spiraled from there. Like,
yeah, it is boring, especially if you've got to do, well, my brother was a security guard for about 20 years, off and on. And oh, he was glad when he retired. Yeah. Anyway, I gotta go. I'm gonna make a cup of coffee.
okay, nice to meet you, Anne.
Yeah, and you. Okay.
See you in a bit.
Bye.
In my archaeology class, where they're talking rock art that they've done in Denmark. Yeah, and I've been to Denmark, and I got a necklace, and I also had a little Christmas decoration with these little stick figures. And he's got stick figures that he's showing us pictures of at the Denmark people. They paint them in. You know, to keep
So
them
did you have a good old chat with Anne, Di?
I did, yeah.
Oh, good, good,
Yeah, I
good,
like
good.
Anne. She's my favourite.
Yeah, I know she always has been. So apparently, right, apparently I got a recording with this guy called Tom from Barry. We're talking about The Walking Dead about 10 o'clock.
Oh, right, right.
So we got it like so I got to try and work out how we're going to do it, if we're just going to like talk and we're just going to like I don't know. We'll soon see.
What's this Walking Dead thing then, Brev?
It's we're making a film, and apparently Azalea can actually do our big star in it. She can actually do the Friday, so that's good.
Oh, buzzing. You looking for
So
extras, are you? I'll be a
yeah.
zombie.
Well, remember it's a walker, man.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
walk, bro.
Well, that's good. It's good. You got to be able to be put a bit of face makeup on as well.
Yeah, man.
So I got well, so we got Azalea for the Friday, and yeah, so that's brilliant. So far there's four of us, right? So we've got to try and now build this whole thing up.
Does she smoke a draw like?
No,
You still selling green cows?
no, I don't. I used to sell it. I used to sell it in my classes in Lansford Major. I did.
Yeah, that's the one I came to, wasn't it? I came there once.
Yeah, that's right. You came to the one in Lansford Major.
Yeah, that's right. But I got a little bit embarrassed. I stopped going.
Oh,
I
right. Oh.
thought they were laughing at me, like,
Well,
because
they were
I didn't
laughing.
know nothing.
There was a guy there called Jim. He was a right knob. Do you know,
I
I've still
can't
got
read.
I still got a stalker called Jim. He follows me all over the internet. He's probably watching now.
All right. What's happening, Jim? You all right, son?
Yeah, he's definitely a stalker, right? He's what? Yeah, oh God, he's a bit sad, really. I've got to be honest with you.
Yeah, I used to come to your classes, mate, so I wanted to anyway, but I just I can't read.
Oh, I can't read either.
I get embarrassed, like, because people take the mick out of me and that. And I got a bald head now as well. I used to have loads of hair, but I got a bald head.
I haven't got a bald head. Look at that.
I know. You're lucky.
Hey, do you know what? I got to have a coffee a minute. So there's nobody else on there, Tom. You'll have to talk to yourself.
Do you like CBD? That's good in coffee.
What?
CBD.
What the hell is CBD?
It's like this weed stuff you put in your coffee. It's really good. Makes you feel chilled out.
Oh my God, there used to be a class who used to go. There used to be a guy who used to go to Lansford Major class who used to talk about that.
Oh, stunning, mate.
Yeah, I'm convinced that most people in bloody Lansford Major are on drugs.
Yeah, I've got a lot of family up there, mate. They're all druggies.
What you like?
Cracking Yeah, they like a bit of rock. You like rocks, don't you?
Rocks? Yeah, I love rocks. I'm into rocks.
I gotta ask, right? But what,
What?
why are you looking at pictures of penises in front of your
Yeah,
mates?
listen, hey, the problem is that I was asked that we got to look at the penises.
Why, like?
I don't bloody know.
Why can't it be boobs, Brev?
What's that?
Why can't it be boobs, not penises?
Oh my God, yeah, that is a subject, isn't it? You know, we had a whole lecture on erotica we did years ago.
Oh, I wish I came to that one.
I tell you, it was one of my best bloody lectures. We recorded that and put it online.
When was that?
Yeah, do you know what? That's got 80,000 bloody views.
I reckon you should do another one. I'll come to that. I'll pay to see that.
Yeah, I think we should.
I get my pip and that, don't I? So I'll chuck you a few quid for it.
You better, lad. Hey,
How much?
you know when you're bloody using gas bloody fires, right? I've got these bloody gas bottles, and the problem is in the winter months, the gas, right? The gas gets so bloody cold it doesn't burn.
Well, I don't know if you're supposed to use it for that. What I usually do is I
I don't know what
snort it,
I'm
mate.
on either. You know, most people don't know what I'm on about.
No, I uses them sometimes at parties and how I get high off them. What
Oh,
you do
no,
is,
not
right,
that type of gas, Tom.
you take the lid off the top and you sort of stick it in your mouth and push it against the roof of your mouth. And then you breathes in the gas, like, and it's really nice. You should try it, mate.
What type of gas is it? Propane, butane?
I don't know. All I know is
I
that it
don't know.
works.
I don't know. It might be.
Do you like football?
Do I like football?
Yeah. Do you like football?
What? Yeah, no. Well, only when Wales is playing.
Oh,
What? Why is that?
I was just asking, mate. 'Cause that's what my barber always used to say to me.
Do,
He used to
do I
sit me
like
down
football?
there and then you turn around and he'd be like, do you like football?
Yeah.
So
hey,
I stopped
hey.
going.
So what you should do is, when Anne comes on, ask if she likes football.
All right.
You know, she might like football. You know what? This bloody kettle's taking so bloody long to do, man.
Yeah, then you win.
No, it's not the bloody kettle. It's the bloody gas stove I use.
Well, we'll do it properly then.
Hey, don't have a go at me.
Not caveman times, mate. I know you like talking about it, but it's not caveman times.
Caveman. Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley is my friend. Did you know Elvis Presley?
He died on the toilet, didn't he, mate? Having a poo.
No, it was when he was eating a burger, I think.
I don't know, that's what my nan told me, mate.
Your nan tells you lies.
Don't tell me nothing anymore, mate.
Your nan tells you lies.
She told so many lies, right? She pushed all of her teeth out.
Oh, that's terrible. Hey, by the way, Richard's from Barry. Go and ask him a few questions.
Richard. Is that the bloke who goes down the back all the time, dressed like a weirdo?
No, that's not Richard. Richard's the guy on the end there.
What?
Richard's on the screen.
Oh, I thought you were on about someone else. Sorry, Richard. Sorry, mate. I thought you were on about someone else.
All right.
There's this guy who goes down the back in Barry, and he's always dressed like a monk or a pirate.
Sounds about like Carl.
Yeah, a bit like Carl, but like he takes it serious, like he believes it.
That sounds like me. Right, guys. Let's get going again.
Right. My mouth is sealed.
Yeah, seal your mouth, mate.
Zipped.
Good. We've got to get everybody else up. Anne, where are you? Let's
Making
do a
a cup of
roll
coffee,
call.
mate.
Let's do a roll call. Anne, are you there?
You there, Anne?
No. Nope. Pat, are you there?
Down a nice bit of Nescafe.
Oh, there's no one there. Henry, are you there? Oh, yeah, I've rushed this bloody coffee, right? I've rushed this bloody coffee to get back, and there's no fucking there. Sorry, Goff. We'll have to wait for bloody Anne now, and there's no Pat, and there's no Henry. Oh God, I gotta have to go along with this bloody coffee. It's not the bloody best coffee I've done in the world. Right, let's get cracking, boys. Right.
I'll have some crack.
There she is. Right, Pat, are you there? Oh, Henry. Oh, we're gonna get started. Right. So what I want us to do, I want us to get to the next bit, right? And we're gonna look at that, and we've got some other cave art. And whether we can get through in 45 minutes, I don't know, but we're gonna crack on. So right, let's shave. Yeah. I can have another shave. Good. Right, so there we go. Right, and there. Okay, now we're getting a better idea what we're looking at, right? So we've done the Tannom stuff. So I want us now. Last night when we were doing this, one of the group just jumped in, and they wanted me to talk about the horse images and the horse motifs, which should probably be the best place to go to now. So the place that we're looking at is known as Little Spee in Sweden. It's the place. It's known as the Rock of the Spear, the place of the spear, right? And it's got this massive image in the rock. But last night, what we did, we basically said, somebody said, "Can we talk about these first?" So that's what we did, and we went off on a little bit of a story looking at this. So this is about 100 meters away from this large 2.3 meter figure in the rock. This is a place known as Tengaby. And this is known as the remarkable rider motif, and lots of motifs there. Now, there are 8 riders. Quick read there, the little one over on the right, there are 8 riders there, and 5 of which are armed with javelins and shields. Now, one thing that people mentioned last night, right, was why these people don't have legs, right? And then we thought, right, why don't these people have legs, right?
Yeah.
And one thing, what about these rectangular shields? Let's have a little look at them. So, and the answer to why these people didn't have legs is simply answered by going on over to Google. And just what we then we went off in a little bit of a tangent there, but horse riders, right? They said, oh, the people riding horses, and you start to think that not now. Look at that person there. The legs are not hanging below the horse, right?
No.
The leg is not hanging below the horse. So in other words, the people drawing these figures were actually drawing them very accurately, because there are no legs, because they're not hanging below the body. So that was the first thing that we looked at last night. And then look at this here, square iron age shields. What did these square iron age shields actually look like, right? Now, they're obviously not square. That's the Battersea shield, right? So what did these things look like? So we haven't actually got any images coming up readily there, but
No.
that's more like the shield on the left there, that one there. That's more of a rectangular shield rather than a round shield. These are the round shields here, right? they're not. That is more akin to what these shields look like, right? Sort of rectangular, square, as opposed to oblong, as opposed to circular shields, and that we do find, we actually do find circular shields in the Iron Age, for example. This is the Wandsworth shield. We're quickly looking at this on Wikipedia. This is a circular shield, but they're actually quite small. And the Wandsworth shield is a circular bronze Iron Age shield boss or mount decorated in a La 10 style. So this would have had mounted on the backing. There would have been a backing mounted on this, and obviously somebody mentioned Barry Cunliffe earlier on. But then again, it's still not square; it's circular, right? So if we obviously you've got a bit of an impression of these square shields from that, but not very much. But from this illustration in Sweden, you're talking about the square shield.
Oh,
So
they
these
look
square
oblong.
shields. What's that, Anne?
They look oblong now. You know, you can see the ones in the
Yes.
corner. They do look oblong.
Yeah, rather than square. Yes. So we're starting to get an idea, right? We're starting to get an idea for what these shields actually look like. So these became popular in the Iron Age and replaced the round shields that were present more in the Bronze Age than anything. But obviously, round and square shields sort of go through in and out of history. Now, when we started looking at this, we started thinking, right, what is going on here? Now, the people on the left look exactly the same as the people on the right. Is it a battle scene, right? What is going on? Is it some kind of a display? What is going on? There's a figure on the right there that hasn't got a horse, and there's a figure on the left here that has a figure lying alongside them, almost looking injured. Again, what is going on? The one point that I should make from this is that even though this looks complete as a piece of art, there might be other things that were present on here that have now faded away, right? Because if you squint your eyes, you can start to see other figures starting to come up and you can start to see other things. You can sort of start to see other figures. Are these all part of the same canvas, or are they all part of something from earlier on? So again, this itself, again, these ones that we're seeing today from Sweden. And so the big question is, why ride the horse? So the domestic horse arrived in southern Scandinavia sometime around, we're looking at 4,000 years ago, and became very important in local mythology. So by the time this is carved 2,500 years ago, the horse become entrenched in that society. It was the horse that, together with the ship, pulled the sun across the sky. What? Right. So in local mythology, it's the idea that the horse and the ship pulled the sun across the sky. And you're thinking about these being carved into rock in sort of low relief across. They look really odd when you see them in the winter months. Okay, maybe that's when they were carved. The art of riding was probably endemic in society by about 2,500 years ago, but not 4,000 years ago. Horses were just coming into society as things that maybe people may have ridden, but they were definitely riding them by this stage 2,500 years ago. Most likely humans didn't learn to ride horses when they initially arrived in Scandinavia, but things changed. In prehistoric historic times, horse was sometimes sacrificed. That's something that we've mentioned, and obviously when we think about the chariot burials, that's another thing that we've actually looked at, and the representation of the horse and the burial of the horse in regards to chariot burials. One thing that might be, when we think about animals at this time, we always think about the human context of the animal, right? We don't think about the animal context. So when people turn around to say, oh, we found the chariot burial and we found two horses that had been buried with somebody associated with the chariot, right? Who's to say that the person wasn't sacrificed to accompany the horses and not the other way round? Just putting that out there. Right. As part of the ritual, the horse meat would be eaten, maybe, maybe not, while the head and lower legs were sacrificed to the gods in lakes and waterways. That's really interesting. When I was a child, I used to eat. Well, I used to be given horses trotters.
Ooh,
Yes,
horses
I used
trotters,
trotters. Yes, we used to eat horses. Not horses trotters. No, I got that wrong. Pig
pigs,
trotters.
pigs.
Pigs. Yes, I was talking about horses. But the point is, what I meant, not
But
horses
they
trotters,
weren't
pig
very
trotters.
nice. I didn't like
But
them.
no,
Oh,
there wasn't much flesh on them at all. So I used to eat the horses, the pigs trotters, and I'm just thinking, well, there couldn't be much meat on a horse's heflock either, right?
no.
That's the point I wanted to make. Sorry about that mistake, Anne. But
Yeah.
so there wasn't much to it, and it was cheap meat when I was a child. Whilst my parents ate pork and chicken and all the rest of it, I had the other stuff as
Oh,
part of the ritual. Back to this again. As part of the ritual, we're talking about the meat of the horse being eaten, but the legs, the hinds being discarded. When Christianity was introduced, eating horse meat became taboo, as the priests saw this as a pagan custom. But we're told that we think that, but that was way after these things were carved. But
oh.
what I'm gonna say, right? What I'm gonna ask is because there was a lot of interaction there. Is there something that anybody else is seeing? Goff, are you seeing anything in this that we haven't mentioned already?
My only comment is they're very childlike, aren't they?
They are very childlike, but how would you respond to that? Sorry, go on.
But when my 5-year-old grandson gives me a picture, it looks just like that. So I sort of find that very interesting.
It's
Well,
primitive.
my children.
That's a good point. That is a very sound point. Right. Anne's the artist here. And how do you respond to that comment? Let's have a
Well,
bombastic response to that comment.
I think it's just primitive art, you know, that I mean when we're children, we, you know, don't have the skills to really look and see and reproduce. But we know we can, you know, I suppose it's symbols, isn't it? They don't
Yeah.
realize they're painting symbols, but they're just symbolic, you know. And
Yeah.
I think even adults, you know, I'm sure in the early times when they didn't, well, we don't think they had any written language, they could draw, you know, and draw probably as simplistic as possible to actually, because you can actually understand these, you know,
Yes.
you can understand really what's going on. It's part of their lives, you know. It's easy to interpret, really, apart from, you know, the sort of the real details, you know. But we know they're horses, men on horses,
With
people,
shields and
you
spears.
know, and you know, it's easy to understand, and it's like a child's drawing, really. They're
Yeah.
easy
Yeah.
to understand. They just don't have
Maybe,
they don't have the technical skills to, you know, do it any better. And maybe primitive man didn't either. Although I wouldn't like to call a Bronze Age primitive. We really don't know, do we? We don't know.
well, there is what my response to what Goff has just said, right, is that the artwork Goff gets is actually produced you with modern paper, is actually crayons or pencils or paints, right? But that's not carved in rock. So my
No,
defense
no,
to Goff
yeah,
is
yeah,
that Goff isn't getting something carved in rock. That's my
no.
response, right? Goff is right, but
Mm, mm,
he's not right in the sense that this takes a lot of incredible skill to create this in rock. But
Yeah.
Goff's interpretation is very right. Right. So one thing I'll say before we actually move on from this image, and I'm dead aware that I'm supposed to be trying to make an analogy of some kind of cross-referencing to art in a British context, but whether we'll get to that, it doesn't matter. But what I want to
Lowry?
do, well, no, we're not going to do Lowry, right? He wasn't around in the Iron Age, but well, he may have been, and actually, and we're going to move this. We're going to move this against backing up against what Goff just said, right? Lowry's work is stick figures look very childlike, but a Lowry today you're not going to get much change from £150,000, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
there's the discussion that Lowry, Goff, and you and me. So it is all a matter of perspective, right? And there is one thing that we missed there, is that horse is a stallion and the rest are not.
Oh, right.
Oh, right.
Did you see what we did there? Yes, exactly.
He's got a
And I
mini
just,
bread.
what's that, Tom? Right.
Daddy.
So basically, this when we did this last night, right? When we did this last night, I actually looked at that those fallacies in a different way, right? And there's several different ways of looking at this, and the one thing is that we will go that definitely looks like a phallus. Yeah, fair enough. But when I was describing this last,
Proper
when I was
studying
describing
tonight,
this,
mate.
what's that?
Proper studying it.
So what we've got here is that there. I thought that was an arm, right? And I actually thought that was a dagger. That was my interpretation. That's something that I said last night. But when we're talking about phalluses again, has that guy got a phallus on the side, right? And there's so if we want to talk about the interpretation of phalluses on some of these images, and they are about, right, and you know that sort of issue, you know, if we're seeing women, why don't we see them with breasts? So there's that. Whilst we're still on this, because I want to do the other images, whilst we're still on this, it's like when you look at this, this is two-pronged. These axes, for example, right? That is really interesting. You've got these axes in the air, and you've got these very long arms to purport these axes are being held in the air, almost as if this is an axe. This means something other than going into battle and fighting, right? We're holding this aloft. It's like, you know, here's my axe. I'm holding it in the air. What's going on? So there's something really interesting in that. And then you're talking about the sun cross on the chest as well. So if we move back again, and we go to this. So when we were talking about the boats, for example, right? We talked about these boats and we talked about the shape, and now you can understand that they are clearly boats. Now, if you all clearly think and you focus on what I'm about to say, right? So it's talking about these two big keels, these two big ships, right? Now we know that you know, if these are representational, well, they are representational of ships, but these are representation of ships that are over 20 meters long, actually could be longer, right? And what we're finding is that at the prow and the aft, right, you get these figures, right? And that's apparently that's really significant, right? So out of these four shields, one of the shields has 7 segments, one has 9 segments, and 2 have 13 segments, like that one. And this is rather odd, right? And the descriptor for this is as follows. So if we zoom in there, the descriptor for these shields is quite and I'm just going to read it out, right? These are so-called, by Swedish archaeologists, so-called stone circle. Stone circle. They're saying that these actually could represent Bronze Age stone circles, and you're thinking that's really odd. But the representation of the circle, right? The representation of the circle, and the concentric circle is to be seen here, and the concentric circle is a sense of imagery that is actually to be found in a British context as well. So, and again, when they're talking about this, stone circles in Sweden, right, actually consist of usually, wait for it, 7, 9, 11, or 13 stones. And these actual, that one there in the forefront has got 13 compartments to it, right? Is that coincidental? Or is that deliberate? And what do we think about stone circles? It might be to do with the afterlife. It might be to do with ritual. It might be to do with ceremony. So there is a connection between ships and death. But we've also seen that idea earlier on, that the ship itself is dragging the sun into view. The ship itself or the horse is dragging the sun into view. Or could they be miniature suns? We don't know. But going back to what the descriptor says again, there is a connection between ships and death, and between circles, graves, and monuments. This is what the descriptor is saying. So the ships may have represented not only the bringing in of life, but bringing it in the journey to afterlife. So one thing that we know, Anne, is that when you're born, you're gonna die, right?
Yeah.
When you're in the living, there's the afterlife. Okay. Or if you're watching The Walking Dead or zombie movies, you come back to life, but that's something completely different. But the point is, the ships may represent the journey to the afterlife as well. So there's so much going on with the symbolism. There's so much to examine. But there's also one word of warning, right? Some of the detail might have faded on these rocks. When we look at northern Sweden, they're painted on the rock rather than incised on the rock. So there might have been detail painted on these things that are, alas, being washed away and faded away forever. However, we do have the scientific ability now to actually find some of those residues in the rock that have avoided being washed away by the rain or whatever, but that's for another talk itself. So we've already mentioned the Hedgesspring boat, and the ships in these carvings look very similar to the Denmark Hedgesspring boat, the clinker plank built boat that looks like carvings that actually been found in other parts of Norway. And this is 100 meters away from the Place de Resistance, this big figure. Now, I was actually slightly disappointed last night, and I thought, oh, right, it's just a bit of a blur, right? So we're going to mention this a little bit, and then we're going to go to this image. You can find it. It's the rock of the spear god. The spear god, you can actually find the spear god, Sweden. You get straight to it. That's what we're going to do. And I know Henry's already probably looking at it now. So Littlesby is situated 2 millimeters close to a museum as well, and it's well signposted. You can find these things. The Swedish love these things. You can see them. So Littlesby rock contains the largest figure found in Sweden, 2.3 meters high. So what we're going to do, guys, we're going to get straight onto Google, straight onto my turkey baldric, and then we're gonna click on there, and hopefully, guys, we're gonna type in the oh, there we go, straight away.
What is a spear god?
What is it? Tom, that's exactly what we're going to answer, and that is why we've got to have a really good image. So there, that is, you can see that figure there. You've got a walkway, and that's 2.3 meters high. And what is a spear god? We're going to come on to that. And then there, and you know what I was saying earlier on, that some of these figures actually cut earlier things, right? And Pat, there's your penis.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Pat. Yeah, cool. It was suggested by Tom earlier on that I had a whole lecture dedicated to phallic symbolism. And Goff was there in the room, and yes, representing power. That's good. So the spear god he is called the spear god. Oh, hang on, we've got to get the foot. Basically, this figure's carved over a boat, as carved over other imagery. It's quite likely that the other imagery would have faded away. You know, it's basically the ochre and stuff has washed away. So this figure has been recarved, but he's got a spear, hence the spear god. But as you're looking at that, guys, everyone, right? Don't fall off your seat. But if you come back from the screen, right, and if you come back from the screen, you can see the sort of perspective. It is sort of floats off. It's almost as if that you got a weird type of angle. It's sort of something quite hypnotic about these figures. So this was
They look
this is
underwater.
that's something
They
that's
look
something that somebody
underwater.
yes, that's something that somebody mentioned last night. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So he's called the spear god and is thought to represent a very powerful the god in pre-Viking Sweden. This was a nature spirit, not like the Green Man, a nature spirit. This was somebody who seemingly become increasingly influential over the life of humans and was therefore depicted in an oversized format. Right. Some researchers believe that the Norse religion practiced by the Vikings dated back. That idea of those Viking gods, guys, they date way back into antiquity. If we want to talk about religions, right, we can talk about the Mahabharat and we can talk about we can talk about the Bible and we can talk about the Torah and all these religious books and all this symbolism and all these traditions and Noah's Ark and Gilgamesh and so on. But these figures, the idea of these gods and their communication with people in the Scandinavian context may go back 2, 3, 4, 5,000 years. So these figures overpowering figures, 2.3 meter tall figures, depicted oversized format. They're oversized on the rock. They're meant to look big. Yeah, they're meant to seem big. Right. I was wandering down the road the other day, and was this guy, no word of a lie, he was 7 foot tall. He, mind my French, he was frigging huge. Right, he banged his head on the door as he went into the co-op. Right, it was massive, this guy. Right, and I just thought, how tall are you? But I wasn't going to be that geekish too. But you think that when you see something like that, it's very influential, very oversized. Some researchers believe that the Norse religion practiced by the Vikings date back a lot longer, and the Viking gods had different attributes, like a hammer, axe, or spear. Is the figure before us an early Odin? Odin had a spear, right? Odin had a spear. And I'm really hoping that, Di, I answered your question.
Do you think it could be like hinting at aliens or something?
Do you know what? That's a really
alien.
interesting thing. Has anyone else thought that tonight?
I know someone who would think it was an alien.
Who?
Glenza.
But when we're thinking about that, we're gonna have to go off this in a minute. We really have, because I just wanted to do like 10, 15 minutes of the British Iron Age art stuff and that concept, and I'll probably just quickly get through that.
It's also like the Indian, Native American, the idea, and Egypt, the idea of pulling the sun through, pulling the sun
yes
through the universe from one
yes
side to the other.
yes
Sorry,
yes.
I've interrupted. Sorry.
No, you're very right.
So it's like it could be creation, creation myth.
And this is the thing, things we don't understand. One of the things that when I was doing my A-level archaeology back 30 years ago, it was like that's one thing that we were looking at. What is the difference between a myth and a legend and creation and the sense of animism and all these other things, and it was just some things that we don't understand are definitely aliens, Chariots of the Gods, 1960s, Von Daniken. And we're thinking, if we don't understand them, then obviously, but what we've got to think about is all the representation here is very human, right? And okay, Tom's point as well, they do look odd figures. But then again, when you see somebody who's 7 foot or 7.5 foot tall, that person is just, and you're only 5 foot tall, you're just thinking, my God, that guy's a meter taller than me. They look massive, and you think they're giants or aliens. So really, really good points there. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to struggle with the next bit because it's going to be a little bit more rushed. Because we spent a lot of time on this tonight, but we did actually start a very reasonable time as well tonight, so that's fine. So if you can, everyone, let me flow for a little bit, and what we've got, I'm going to try and get try and articulate this as meaningful as possible without it seeming too rushed. So, okay, here we go. Okay, if I can get this up here. A lot to go through there. I'm just going to type in again, see if I can make this a bit quicker. Right, okay, is it there? Right, okay. So rethinking rock art in Iron Age Britain. I thought I'd lost the file then. And as I said, there is something I want to mention at the end as well. And this is open to everybody. So this is probably going to be a Henry thing, but it's going to be absolutely pointless. There are two people who do my classes, Barbara and Dell, and they pay their monies. But what they do get is once a month, they actually get printouts, a little printout from each of the lectures. And so if anyone's going to be away for any time, they just let me know and say, look, I'll still pay your money or whatever, but can you send me stuff in the post? But if you're traveling around the world, Henry, it's going to be absolutely pointless. So, and I wanted to mention that because lots of these notes that I look at are really, really great. So we're looking at this now, and when we think about rock art in Britain, is typically carved on boulders and outcrops as we've described, for example, in Sweden. But the carvings in Sweden are a lot later than this. But when we start to think about rock art in Britain, it's around throughout when it's carved, right? So what I'm trying to say is that in all of those regions there, the dark green is areas where there's a lot of rock art carved, like Northumberland, like Argyll, going all the way up to Inverness, little bits of West Wales, and so on. There's rock art, okay, and North Wales, bit in Cornwall, and we're looking at this. And we got all the other stuff. There's nothing on the right hand side because it's like chalky, that's the way it is. Harder rocks up in the north of Scotland. It's really hard rocks, so it's difficult to sort of carve into, right? But I know this sounds all Neolithic stuff and Bronze Age stuff, but the point is that when this is carved, it's actively in the landscape, right? We've got locations in Britain. We've got 6,500 locations in Britain where we've actually got rock art. And in some of those areas, like Kilmartin, in that one area, we've got thousands of individual carvings within the one area, right? So there's tens of thousands of individual motifs carved across Britain, right? And the overriding motifs are the cup and ring marks. I know we've done whole lectures about the cup and ring mark. The cup and ring mark can be found in Ireland, places like Newgrange, Brittany, various other rocks across Wales, and actually Portugal. The cup and ring marks can be found everywhere, Denmark and so on. So why is this relevant to us tonight? And I think it's to do with when we think about reuse and what this archaeologist have done. They've created an article, and this is actually a great article. There's so much into this, and I didn't even touch upon this last night either. Reuse of rock art in Iron Age Britain. So the person, when we come up with the subjects, somebody said, can we compare Swedish rock art with rock art in Britain in the Iron Age? Right, and I thought, we've got to do the Pictish stuff, and I just thought, but this article has taken me back, and the point being made is as follows, right? This art here, right, is present within the Iron Age landscape. It's been within the landscape for 1,000, 2,000 years before we get to the Iron Age. So this stuff is ancient, but it survives in the landscape. Some of this stuff could have been recarved, and re-heightened, and made more real to be relevant to the people in the Iron Age, right? And what does that look like to people? That there looks like a hill
Dragon.
fort. Yeah.
Oh.
And it looks okay. It looks like a dragon. Yeah, I can see. No, and it's not a dragon. But what we've got is this rock here, and you stand to think that some of this is out there in the Iron Age and may actually be attributed to road maps. Or when I say road maps, maps of the landscape, and that could actually be a plan there of an Iron Age ditched enclosure, bank and ditched Iron Age hill fort, for example. And so what we're going to do, we're going to focus on this bit. So the association between cup and ring carvings and certain Iron Age structures, notably hill forts, and, for example, these things known as souterrains. We mentioned this in Orkney, right? And Pat's been down there with me in that souterrain. Yes, you have, Pat.
Yeah.
No, yes, you have. You didn't bang your head. I think somebody did.
I did.
But the point is that the body of evidence telling us that people built hill forts next to these things, right? And they reuse some of the stone that has got these carvings in associated with their structures, right? That's not accidental. And this is a thing throughout British prehistory. What we've got throughout British prehistory is Iron Age hill forts, for example. If there's a bronze, right, we're going to build a Iron Age hill fort over there. There's a barrow. Wow, there's a barrow from our ancestors. We'll leave it there. We're not gonna damage it, right? There's like 3 circular barrows there by the entranceway. Yeah, just leave them there. That's fine. No, they're part of what we're doing. We see this with the site, the bulwarks over Porthkerry. You've got a really interesting hill fort over Porthkerry, right? And you've got a nice entranceway. And over in the corner on the right, in the northern side, opposing the sea, you've got like a barrow, right? And the earthworks go around it, and they make the barrow a feature. And you're thinking, they did that with Bronze Age sites, so they certainly did this. The reuse of what's going on there, and it's also possible, all intents and purposes, that some of the carvings may actually see them being recarved, reused, and placed back into the sense of the landscape. And it clearly says there, rectilinear cup and ring marks near the entrance to a place known as Godlaw Hill Fort in Northumberland. And again, some of these really nice facts and figures, right? Look at that there in the old Berwick site. Yeah, it says that old Berwick site there, that you can actually apparently that in the forefront, that looks like a track, but it's saying that you can just about make out some of the not that there. You can make out some of the ditches here, but I'm not exactly sure, but that's what it says. It says that situated 6 meters from the entrance to a small D-shaped enclosure, hill fort at Old Berwick. The low earthworks are enclosed there. A second large carved rock is visible in the left of the photograph. So basically, we've got 2 rocks there, one rock there, and another rock there. These are all associated with carvings from earlier periods, right? But they are directly associated with Iron Age monuments, and they're left down. And we had this discussion last night. That huge boulder could have been moved from over there to be associated with the Iron Age hill fort. So in other words, what they're doing, right? We're talking about reuse of art. When we go to an art gallery, we see something from Carl Larsson, Scandinavian artist. It's brought over from Scandinavia to Britain. It's displayed in a gallery. That's reuse of art, right? Just exactly. So in other words, it comes into the current moment, right? People were fascinated by these things in the past to make them current as we are today. For example, I mentioned this last night. I don't know how relevant this is. I went with my daughter Kerry Ann to the museum this one day, and we went to the end of a gallery, a gallery in the National Museum of Wales, and there was this painting on the wall, and I just thought, what's this doing here? It's a photograph. And we looked at it and we said, oh my God, the detail in this painting, which is 300 years old, is so you could see the glass and you could see the water, and it was just like a photograph, right? And it was amazing. And the reason why I mentioned that is that was created 300 years ago, right? And that meant a lot to me because I tied it in with the genre of photography. And this is when we're, as a metaphor for what we're doing here. So the proportion of all of the hill forts in England, right? A quantity of them, a broad assessment of up to the 5,000 hill forts in Britain. 1% of them have got these carvings associated with them. And you're thinking, oh, 1%, that's not a lot, but 1% of 5,000 is. So what we've got is particularly with Northumberland, out of 217 hill forts in Northumberland, 12% of them actually have these Neolithic and Bronze Age, for example, cup and ring marks associated with them at Old Berwick. They've almost as if these cup and ring marks are there. They're going to be part of our world. They're going to be part of our Iron Age world. They're associating with the context of the past. And again, when for example, I actually looked, and time is coming up rapidly. So when I looked at that, I just thought, as a plan for an Iron Age hill fort, that is just so good. Those little holes there might represent individual houses or storage buildings within the site. That is absolutely unbelievable. And you're looking at this, and that looks like a map. Why couldn't have people had maps in the past? And there is the other thing, Anne, right? You've got a wonderful hill fort site near this, right? And this is part of the hill fort landscape at Dodd Law. And you're thinking, well, if this was a map to what was going on in the past, and then they build an Iron Age site there, the map stays there and it's a reference point to what's going on within the landscape. Or maybe they've added stuff to this. We can't know, and that every single symbolism on here has been carved in the Neolithic, right? Some of it may have been carved in the Iron Age, right? And this again is absolutely fascinating. And there's a draw to understanding that this wonderful world that existed, before the Iron Age, right, has come through into the Iron Age to be relevant to those people 2,000 years ago. This is a large sandstone outcrop with elaborate carvings at a place known as Routling Linn. And this is 10 meters outside the southeast entrance to a promontory fort. Instead of smashing this stone up and that's another point that I haven't mentioned. Instead of smashing this stone up and using it for the defenses of the site, they've left it there as a display within the landscape. So, this wonderful report goes on to say, it basically says this is a screenshot of a 3D model of Chatton Camp, carved rock showing a symmetrical serpentine groove and cup and ring, a line of rectilinear quarrying marks run along the top of the rock, and the model was created to display today. So what we're talking about this again is within the landscape. The rock is within the landscape of the hill fort, and again, this is actually within the banks. This piece of rock is within the banking of the hill fort itself, and again, that fascinating aspect that it's bringing this echo of the past into the echo of the present in the Iron Age. And just quickly, there's a sense of building these souterrains. This is a souterrain in Angus without the lid on it, but and what you've got these these cuts in the rock, sort of these holes cut in the rock, that might be artistic associated with this souterrain in Angus, and obviously markings and carvings in the Iron Age. For example, in places like this, the site of the Gren Bank souterrain in Orkney, which, as I said, Pat's been down in there with me on that one. And finally, what I left, and we've actually got to where we got to last night. What I said in answer to carvings in the Iron Age. We got lots of Iron Age carved heads, right? And I thought, right, I'm not going to do that tonight. I'm just going to leave it for people to look at that in their own. These are Iron Age. They don't. Well, the one on the top right hand corner looks like the head of a carved doll, which Anne would have had in the 1920s. But right, these are all from the Iron Age over 2,000 years ago. We find these carved heads in different areas, and actually, the idea of the carved head is to be found way back in the Neolithic, that we actually get carved heads of carved stones that might represent heads, for example, in the quarries at Grimes Graves in the landscape of East Anglia. So I thought I'd leave that with you. And there's one last point I would like to mention to you. Nobody has ever been to the site of Taran Dysant with me. And in Taran Dysant, which is near a place known as Pennacoig, which is between Llantrysant and the likes of Pontypridd, it's a place known as Taran Dysant. There's a carving in the rock, right? And there's these little heads carved in the rock, right? And lots of these heads carved in the rock, some people say, they're dating to, thousands of years ago, but they're all likely to be more carved in the past 200, 300, 400 years. But this tradition about carving heads in the rock is not something new. It's something that goes way back, and maybe we will look at this again. And I've realized that there's so much to do in the Iron Age that we might be at this for a while longer. And with me doing my Roman remains in Britain series, I'm up to 34 sites that we've actually looked at in Britain. I realized that I'll probably do 100 another 100 of these. We're looking at only stone sites in Britain. And then I realized today, I thought, well, when we do the Roman period in Britain, right, it's going to take me quite a long time to get through. And your book on the Romans in South Wales will be very useful. I just wanted to make 2 quick announcements. Don't forget, next week will be the last lecture this year that we'll be doing, because the other 2 days both fall on Christmas Day and New Year's Day, but there will be a YouTube video recording for you all to watch sent to you. And I got to make sure that I've got everybody's emails up to date, but that doesn't involve you guys, because I think I've got all your emails. I would like to mention we'll be doing one excavation day over Christmas. So those that are subscribed to getting excavation updates, we're setting up a standing order thing for that once a month. If you're interested in doing that, then you get a letter through the post with a photograph of the update of the excavation once a month. And we did plan to do a trip to York sometime next year, but that is not happening at this moment. But that's possibly in the cards. So we're going to call that a day now, and we're going to find out if anyone would like to ask any question. Anyone's got anything to ask? Goff?
No, it's very interesting. You'll probably do another lecture on that.
Yes, particularly the carved heads. Exactly. Yeah, definitely. Yes, we could. Yes, there's so much you could do, really is. And when you go out to look at other areas and compare, yeah, you are very right on. Actually, we will be looking at Pictish carved stonework, but I got to work out where that comes in, whether it's post-Roman or in the middle, and classify that as Iron Age. Anyway, thank you for that, Goff.
By the way,
right,
I won't be here next week.
Oh, where are you going?
Don't be so nosy,
Well,
Anne.
I've had enough of you, Anne. So I've had enough of you, so I'm not coming next week.
Oh.
No, I'm going up to my eldest daughter and grandchildren in Yorkshire. So.
Oh, great.
Nice. Oh.
The gorgeous family. So, well,
Have a
hopefully,
lovely time.
have
Are
a
you
great
gonna
time.
stay for Christmas?
Thank you. Pardon?
Are you going to stay for Christmas?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, lovely. Have a nice
So,
time.
Thank you.
have a nice time, Goff. You deserve it. And don't forget, we'll be sending a link to, you know,
Yeah.
over
Wherever you
Christmas time.
are, we'll find you.
We'll find you. There's a song there from Last of the
Yeah.
Mohicans. Right, Anne. I don't know if you've got a collection of blue jumpers, but you're known for your blue jumpers. So, Anne, anything you want to say, lovely?
No, I didn't realize there was so much of, you know, they've found a lot of it in Sweden, a lot of rock art in Sweden, since I was looking, and yeah, they've obviously, you know, researched it, which is good. Yeah, and I look forward to doing the Iron Age with you.
Look forward to much more, Anne. Exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Anything from you, Dick?
Oh, can't hear
Go
you.
on. Go on. Show us your dick, Richard. Go on.
Oh.
Anything you want to say?
No, it is quite a
Just don't be
subject, you know,
cheeky.
needs
What's that, Rick?
quite,
Yeah.
you know, hard to get your head around a lot of it.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. It is. It
Yeah.
is. No, it really is. It really is. And the thing is that there's so much angles you could actually take this, and we only touched
Yeah.
upon the surface tonight. So metaphorical surface. Yeah, no, that's dead right, Richard.
Right.
Thanks for that. Thanks. Anything from you, Pat?
Well, when were the cup and ring people? When were they? What were they? Stone Age? What were they?
The cup and ring people of the Neolithic period, we start to see cup and rings across Europe and Britain roughly about 5,000, well, around 4,000 years ago, probably a little bit earlier. But again, it's very difficult to date some of this stuff, but definitely 4,000 plus years ago. You know, 4,500 at the end of the Neolithic period. So yeah, that's the type of period that we're talking about. A place called Kilmartin in Argyll in Scotland has got loads of them.
Oh, right.
We were going to actually do a trip there once years ago, but we never got around to it. We're just going to look at these. You would have been cup and ringed out, Pat.
Probably. We've seen a few though around, so they've been good.
Yeah, we do. And there was, go on.
Yeah. Oh, I went to the Baltic cruise, you know, and you would get off
Yeah.
in Finland and Denmark and various places. Well, I bought this necklace, and I don't know. Anyway, I sent you a picture of it.
A little bit back from the screen.
Back. Yeah, see this figure.
Oh yeah, we can see it. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yes.
And it's 5th century. So, and it's a copy of a real pendant, you know. So
Oh yeah.
and
Fifth
once you look
Nice.
at your picture on your I put it on the message one, you know,
Is
rather
it
than
Swedish?
and you can have
Oh,
a look
no.
at it. You can enlarge it and see what's what. Looks like two guys are chasing another guy, and the guy got his head knocked off. No,
Oh,
not the
you
prettiest.
read
I'll
thing.
knock your
This-
block off.
Yeah, he knocked his block off. And they're stick figures. Oh, and I've got one other thing to tell you. I also bought a Christmas decoration while I was there. You know, I mean, I remember as a young girl, we had a circular thing, put a candle in the middle, and then these angels, you know, that were flat and gold or brass, you know, would circle around because of the heat of the candle. So I
Oh.
saw the same thing in Denmark. I think it was Denmark. I was so excited. I thought, oh, this is great. You know, just snatched it up. I saw these figures hanging on it and bought it, got it home. You know, Christmas came, opened it up, assembled it, and I can't let my grandchildren see it, you know, because there's about 8 men and they're all got huge penises.
Oh,
You just light the candle and they go around in a circle, you know.
oh.
But yeah, I think you don't. I don't think you'll leave that to any of your grandchildren. You know. So
I threw
yeah,
out.
thanks for that, Pat. Really appreciate you talking about penises a lot this evening. Maybe we should have a lecture just about erotica and
Oh,
Priapus and his great big.
You've done that already.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's about time we did another lecture about penises, about Priapus's great big. Yeah.
Mm.
And yeah, I was going to say, thanks for that, Pat. I really appreciate that. Good. I was going to, yeah. You went when you went to York with us outside one of the oldest things in York is on a stone outside the York Museum is a cup and ring mark in its big
Yeah.
boulder.
Yes, remember it, yeah.
Mm.
About
Mm.
waist
cool.
high, it's big, you know. Big.
Yeah, it is big. It is big.
Yeah.
It is big. Big. Right. Di, anything you want to tell us? No.
No, I really enjoyed the lesson, mate. I appreciate this lecture. I'll be back again. I'm guessing it's the last one of the year or whatever you said.
Oh no, the last one of the year is next week. You can
Next
replace
week.
Goff next
Oh.
week.
Yeah, I'll replace Goff next week.
Yeah, you got a lot to make up. You got to know all about the boats and stuff. You got to know all about the merchant navy, and then you'll be able to replace Goff.
All right,
Oh, right.
But don't talk about the Russian navy. That's out of bounds. Peter used to
Oh.
talk about the Russian navy, and he's no longer with us. Talking about the Russians, right? Anything
Henry?
you want to? Henri, the Frenchman. You know, Russians, French. They're all related.
I think it just showed how much we don't know.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
very intriguing.
Mm.
Exactly. And yeah, I agree. Anything else from that? Because I've got one point I want to say. Anything else you want to say, Henry?
No, that's fine. Thank you.
And finally, this is from Dodgy Git Online. He suggested you might think about all this stuff that we looked at as some kind of instruction manual, right? And all of these things could represent maps, as we mentioned. And that idea about an instruction manual, maybe, yeah, we don't know how these things read. Is it some kind of a language? On that point, that's a really good place to end. So what we're going to do, I'm going to say, thank you for joining us this week. We've got one more next week, and all of us say Merry Christmas to Goff.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to everyone.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
We're going to say
Merry
good night to
Christmas,
everybody.
mate.
Night night, Goff. Night night, Anne.
Night.
Night night, Richard.
Good
Pat,
night.
Henry,
Good
and Guy.
night.
And the
Good
Dodgy
night.
Git.
Good
Night night,
night.
guys.
Good night.
Merry
Good night.
Christmas, Anne.
Good night.
We're all daft, don't we?
Yeah, go on. Talk to Di. Talk to Chris. Anything, Henry? I'll see you soon.
Tom.
What?
Is it
What's that,
Guy or
sorry?
Tom?
No, it's Di. It's Di.
Who's Tom?
Oh,
Good night, then. Good night.
Good night, Anne.
Bye. Bye.
Bye, Anne. Ta-ra.
Bye.
No! She was banking it then. Right, so quickly, because I'm going to sign off and I'm going to have a bath. No, I'm not. Right, we've got 155 subscribers now, which is great. So I'm thinking that I've got to see if I can connect this directly to the account, and I need to know if I can do that. So we'll give it a go. So I've actually just changed my lighting behind, and suddenly I actually look quite clear. So I've got to work out before you puddle off how I actually get two people side by side, and because it's so if I do how do I do this? Yeah, should we just do a chat-in thing, because I haven't got time to get images up.
Yeah, it's fine.
So if I make you a co-host, right? Yeah, you can't. I'm gonna see if there's both of us on the screen now.
Are we still live?
Yeah, we're still live. Yeah.
Oh, fuck, I've blown my cover, man.
And the Russian, and the Russian, right? So I'm just thinking. I've got it live now, right? And it's just going back and forth. I'm just trying to work out how I get two people on here. Just no, not that. Share, not that.
Do you reckon they actually believed I was Di?
I don't know what they fucking believed.
Anne seemed to buy.
We'll do all expletives tonight, right? I just stay there a minute. I'm just trying to work out how to do this. Right, so there's mute, there's stop video, there's participants, there's chat, there's reactions, there's share, record, AI, caption, whiteboards, app, notes, more. Oh, hang on, more.
Host
Meet,
tools.
hang on, meeting settings. Hang on. Right, host tools, waiting room, lock, share, chat with, start video, rename, share notes. Right, okay, close. Oh, you know what I've just done? I've pressed a button and it, right, okay. So meeting settings.
Yeah.
Always show name, show non-video participants, show my video in gallery view, stop incoming videos, mute upon entry. I don't know. Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. Hang on. We're going to stop this. Hang on. Do that there. Are we both on the screen?
I can see myself, but
You can't see me.
no, I can see you, yeah. But I'm not. I'm just like a little rectangle. Right? Is that what you
No.
see on yourself? Or?
You know, I can only see me. I on the live feed. Yeah, shut up. Show my right. Okay, show non-video participants, which we're doing. Right, stop incoming videos. Always show meeting controls. Right, if I do that there, video effects. God, I spoke to a doctor today, right, and this doctor said I won't be speaking to her again. She said, "Oh, people with OCD should be treated the same as people who are alcoholics."
What do you mean by that?
That's what she said.
What's that supposed to mean, though?
Exactly. So hang on, going back to this. Participants will only be able to see host video and shared content and videos of spotlight participants. Start. Has that changed anything? No, that's changed nothing. Right, okay, stop focus. Right, okay, we're just trying enable sound, host tools, meeting settings. We've done it. Oh, what? Oh, hang on a minute. Hang on. Right, archaeology classes. Right, archaeology class. Class. I didn't know I could set a title. Class. I don't know how to do it. Always show meetings. It's not happening. So basically when you talk, I talk.
Okay. So when I talk, I pop up, do I? Like
Yeah.
on the lessons or whatever they are,
Yeah.
lectures.
Yes.
Oh, there we are. That'd do, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's not the fucking same. It'd be nice to sort of have two conversations going. Hang on a minute. Hang on. 1 sec. Right. Okay.
Ask that git. He seems to
Rename.
always have an answer, doesn't he? Bald cunt.
Who's that?
Dodgy git. Oh, approve.
Oh, he's probably still there, Dodgy Git. Dodgy Git. Are you still there?
Bodie!
Make host. Now the problem is if I make you host, you've got overall control of the Third Reich.
Yeah, you don't like it when you're not in control, do you?
I like the old. Hang on a minute. Hang on. Stop a minute. It's another window here. Google Drive, box, photo, image from file, document, web, URL, bookmark, screen. Right? No. Okay. Just to give it a go.
You reckon the dodgy git wears Dr. Martens?
I don't know, but Dodgy Git, are you coming on our show, which is going to be on at The Walking Dead in a few minutes, in about at 10 o'clock, Dodgy Git. So there you go.
Is he subscribed?
I don't know if you subscribe. I got a cat at the door a minute. 1 second.
The dodgy git. You should definitely subscribe to our The Walking Dead UK. 100%. You get one of these hoodies for subscribing. I'm one of the acts.
Oh, Dodgy get better
For free
subscribe.
on Carl as well, yeah.
What's that?
Oh, no.
This is Monster. Let me see Monster. It's Monster.
You've got to hit the moustache.
This is Monster.
Cats. I used to have a cat. I called it Heisenberg.
Fucking hell. Apps. We're going to see if we can do the apps now. What's app? Virtual, right. Hang on. Virtual background. Discover the perfect virtual background for your Zoom meetings. Timer. It take instant, high quality group photographs. What do I fucking do that for?
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it?
Virtual back. Hang on a minute. Virtual backgrounds.
That's just like you, isn't it?
You. Hang on. Reset all. Right. If I can do that there. Hang on. Go away. Okay. Reset all. Right. Auto framing. Hang on. What about auto framing on? What does that mean?
No idea. I assume when someone talks, they pop up. That's what it means.
Right. Well, we've been doing that anyway. Background. Settings. Oh, it's just
Share
fucking
screen?
frustrating. What?
Nope.
Who?
It just said
No.
share screen. Oh shit! What would I know?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Right. Okay. On my screen as I'm talking, I can see you. And you know when you have these group chat things, right? Every other Zoom thing I fucking join, right? You can actually you can get two people on the screen at the same time.
Hmm. But yeah, they do that at work. I don't know how you do it. I don't know.
Yeah, you do it at work because you got everybody on the screen.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So mute participants. Okay. Stop camera. Nope. Stop camera. I stopped camera control then. Nope. So I can't control it. You know, in total control. Right. Screen. Right. Screen. Camera. Camera. Your video is paused.
What, yours or mine?
Oh, fucking hell, looks scary, doesn't it? I look like a melon head.
Not bad.
I like my Russian hat. Right, disconnect. Right, stop. Okay. Stop focus mode. It is focus mode. Participants who've right. Okay. Bellend. I wouldn't mind if one of us just floated there and the other one talked. That would be great, but it's not working that way.
Obviously, of course, you'd be the big picture, wouldn't you?
Shut up. Right. Okay. Share. Right. Chat with everyone. Right. Start video. Name. Share notes. Record to computer. No. Request to record to computer. Request host to start cloud recording. Bollocks. Okay, we'll just have to crack on. Right. Okay then. So what I'm gonna have to do, I'm gonna have to stop this and we're gonna have to come back on in about 8 minutes.
Yeah, I was just about to suggest that.
Yeah, all right then. We'll just do half an hour. So we're talking about yeah, we'll talk generally about Are we talking about the Daryl Dixon stuff? What we and maybe half
I've been
half an
reading
hour
that
of
as
stuff.
well.
Right, good. Okay. How does that tie in with the British stuff?
It doesn't.
Hmm.
I'm just saying, I've been reading it. It's 72 hours into the outbreak, and it's the rise of the governor, and it's set in the comic book universe.
72 hours, eh?
Mm. Like, there's some interesting ideas in there because they don't quite know what's going on. Do you know what I mean? And there's questions about, oh, what's caused this and that, and people are just getting on with it.
Yeah.
Because it's not important. The important thing is to survive and protect the families. Like,
Yeah. Oh, okay then. Look, I tell you what. If you sign off now, I'll end this recording and we'll get back on.
all right,
Okay. Speak to you soon, Tom.
all right. So.
Ciao, bruv. Oh Christ, you sent me that. Right, okay. I'm gonna speak to nothing. Oh, the Brofter Gold boat on another thought. Oh yeah, bollocks. We didn't do that. Shit. Oh God. I don't know. I shouldn't have written so much stuff down here. More post-its. Brofter Gold boat. So here we go. In the chat, it says the Brofter, Broighther, gold boat and other thought. The Brofter gold boat and other thought. On a bigger day, Londoner. 'Cause I love London town. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11. Nothing in that there. Nothing in that chat one. Looking at the chat a minute. And don't forget to like and subscribe. So here we go. Okay, nothing in that chat one, nothing in that chat two, nothing in that chat three, nothing in that chat four, nothing in that chat five. So the Brofter Gold Boat and other thought. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Done. Diolch yn fawr i chi, gwelwch chi eto